7 states have now legalized medical marijuana.
Including California.
California was the first, 1996.
But we do still have problems in California and other states with the federal government coming in and superseding those laws and still arresting patients.
That's right. We have two sets of laws in this country. So under federal law, medical marijuana is illegal under all circumstances. And in fact, under federal law, marijuana is defined as being more dangerous than cocaine and morphine and methamphetamine.
Wow.
Cocaine, morphine, and methamphetamine all, according to Congress, have medical uses. Marijuana is defined as having absolutely no medical use whatsoever. So in effect, under federal law, they're saying that cocaine, methamphetamine, and morphine are better for you than marijuana, which, I say, what kind of message does that send to the children, right? But,
wow.
But in terms of criminal penalties, it's a federal crime to possess any amount of marijuana, even if you're a medical marijuana user. Under the 11 state laws where medical marijuana is legal, patients can possess, use, grow their own, have a caregiver grow for them. And occasionally the federal government will come into California and raid a large plantation of marijuana, or they'll raid a couple of medical marijuana dispensaries that have storefront kind of operations. But the federal government isn't going and arresting individual medical marijuana users. They're not sweeping up and down the West Coast arresting cancer patients at home. So as a result, when we change these laws state to state, it does provide absolute real protection for individual patients who are using medical marijuana.
Good. So that's basically, if a person is a medical marijuana patient, that's the best thing to do, is not to deal with a large collective, not to deal with one of these big marijuana, because there are places, basically hospitals, that give away marijuana to patients.
Well, even individual
or
patients.
Or sell it in a nonprofit.
Right. The only way you're going to get busted is if you're actually running one of these clinics. And even then you're not guaranteed to be busted. There's about 150 medical marijuana dispensaries in California. And perhaps 15 have been busted in the last 2 years, and when they're busted, they just reopen again.
Oh, okay.
So the people running these clinics are facing feds coming in and stealing their computers and their marijuana and their cash. But individual patients who are just clients.
Are they being prosecuted? Are these people going? Is there jail time involved with some of these people who run the dispensaries?
Interestingly, in some cases there is jail time, but in the most recent round of raids, which occurred in San Diego in December, or maybe it was late November, but I think it was December, the feds have yet, or actually it was a Fed-state combination task force, they have, these people who are running these dispensaries have yet to be arrested or charged with any crimes.
Oh, really?
So really what happened in reality was that you had state police and some feds going in and just stealing property from these people.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, so really, hopefully, we can see this as a sign we're winning this battle?
Oh, we're certainly going to win the medical marijuana battle in, I think, the short run, and we're winning on every front with medical marijuana. We have never lost a state ballot initiative for medical marijuana.
Now, what about people that say marijuana is a gateway drug? Is that true?
There's no evidence that says that using marijuana will make it more likely that you will want to use other drugs. There's no kind of scientific basis for it. And don't take my word for it, just take the word of the Institute of Medicine. The National Academy of Sciences actually came out with a landmark report on marijuana back in 1999, and they said explicitly in that report that there is no evidence for this so-called gateway theory. However, I can tell you societally that oftentimes someone's first introduction to cocaine or LSD is through the person that they're buying marijuana from. So actually, if there is a gateway, it would be the criminal market. It would be the drug dealer who is the gateway. So if you're concerned about the gateway theory and you actually do think it exists, then you want to regulate marijuana. You want to take marijuana off the streets and put it on a shelf, just like with alcohol. I mean, no one says that alcohol leads to cocaine use.
Anecdotally, from my own experience, I think what leads to, from my own observation, what leads to drug use is the use of alcohol. Not that I'm for any kind of prohibition or bringing back alcohol prohibition. That's just my perception, is that people when they're young will try one high from alcohol, and then they'll wonder, what are the other highs I can get? And then they may wander on to cocaine or something else that's worse.
And even then, I wouldn't say that alcohol is a gateway. It's just that someone who uses alcohol is, let's say if they're 16, is more of a risk taker. And if you're more of a risk taker, then you're also more likely to try cocaine. You're also more likely to try bungee jumping. You'll find that the people who take one risk will take other risks, regardless of what age they are.
Right. So what else are you doing? I mean, if I go to the website, you know, what other kind of things are there? What are the kind of, is there ways for me to get involved in this?
If you visit marijuanapolicy.org, first subscribe to our email list, so that would keep you apprised of everything that's going on in your state as well as on the federal level. It also provides you an easy opportunity to send letters to your state legislators as well as your members of Congress. So that's the first thing to do, is just get signed up and send the letters. And then for people who want to get even more active, there are other projects that we have depending on where they live. You know, some states are more active than others, some congressional districts are targeted and some are not, so it really would depend on where you live.
So in some states you would be collecting signatures to put something on the ballot to legalize medical marijuana.
In some cases that would be the project. In other cases it would be focusing grassroots energy on a certain member of the U.S. House of Representatives if we think that they're a swing vote. So, but I could just rattle off some projects.
Yeah, go ahead, please do.
We have an amendment, a medical marijuana amendment that comes up for a vote every summer in the U.S. House. We need 218 votes to pass. The last time we got 161 votes, so we're within shouting distance of being able to win this thing. And if we actually do pass this, that would mean that the federal government would be prohibited, the DEA would be prohibited from spending any money to raid medical marijuana patients and clinics in the states where it's legal. So it really has teeth. On the state level, we're lobbying in Illinois, Minnesota, and New York with professional lobbyists who are pushing our medical marijuana bills through those state legislatures. And our biggest project by far is the ballot initiative in Nevada. In November of '06, there is going to be an initiative that would tax and regulate marijuana in Nevada statewide.
Wow.
It would be the first time, obviously, in this country that we would have any kind of system like that. And we've modeled it around the alcohol system, except it's more restrictive because people aren't ready to go have big billboards advertising marijuana yet. But the concept is the same, which is that adults who are 21 and older can legally possess marijuana, use it in the privacy of their home, and buy it from a regulated establishment rather than the criminal market.
And the libertarian point of view, and the end game of the libertarian philosophy is, of course, to entirely legalize marijuana. But before anything like that would happen, it would have to come into the range. We want to deregulate much of what is out there, but before marijuana would be entirely legal, first you're going to have medical marijuana be legalized, then you're going to have it taxed and regulated, then hopefully eventually you'll have a market that isn't taxed, because libertarians are also against taxes, but that's a whole other show that we're not. But I just wanted to explain that too. And we're here at the Libertarian Convention in San Diego there in the background. So,
if I may just say one thing about that. You made it sound like maybe medical marijuana was somehow a stepping stone towards broader reform, when in fact we don't really look at it that way. When people are asking, you're using medical marijuana as a smokescreen to kind of get your foot in the door, the answer is no. Really what we want, we've always been clear, right? We want to actually make the possession of marijuana legal for adults, and we think they should be able to buy from a legally regulated establishment. We've been honest for the 11 years that I've been running MPP. But it's hard, in fact it's been so far impossible to actually pass the ideal bill that we want. So the goal is to keep marijuana users out of jail. So if we can keep some marijuana users out of jail, cancer patients, AIDS patients, then that's what we'll do. So we look at it, the medical marijuana, as a subset of the larger goal of keeping all responsible marijuana users out of jail.
Now, marijuana is just a weed. I mean, it can grow in a crack in the sidewalk. It's a plant. Okay, so what about if you were to pass this law, would it then be legal to grow your own marijuana?
That would be up to the legislature to decide whether adults would be allowed to grow their own. But certainly our initiative makes it very clear that you can apply for a license from the state to grow as a kind of commercial grower.
Okay.
You can get a wholesaler's license.